And it is time once again for another AEW Dynamite review here on the Mr. Warren Hayes Show. Greetings, fellow wrestling fans. I am Warren himself. And we're going to be talking about Dynamite here, specifically the March 5th, 2025 edition of AEW Dynamite that happened in Sacramento, California at the Sacramento Memorial Auditorium. Juno is very excited about it. She's hanging out here. I don't know. I think she's just out of frame, but she's right here. She's gonna stick around right up until she gets really annoyed of my voice and me speaking very loud. She doesn't like it when I speak very loud because I think she thinks that I'm mad at her, that she did something wrong. You know, because when you're happy with your dog, you mostly, you talk in different tones. You're like, yes, what a good dog he is. That's the kind of thing you do. But then when you're angry, your tone raises, right? And I think she's like, I don't like it when he talks in this tone. Makes me feel bad. Even though she's done nothing wrong, she's just standing here. She's being wonderful. Yes, you're such a good doggy. Yes, you are. Yes, you're a good pup. So, like I said, right up until we run out of pets or she gets annoyed with my voice, I guess she'll be around. And I would say she'll be leaving quite soon if I'm looking at her body language right now. Oh, maybe not. Oh, look. Hey, am I stretching out some time here? Am I taking a little more time here? Probably. Yes, actually, maybe, sure, 100%. Because I honestly don't know how long this review is going to be. And not because necessarily for bad reasons. I just don't know if I have that much to say. Because the last night's Dynamite was a terrific go-home show for a pay-per-view that is lining up to be excellent. Everything is pretty straightforward. I feel like everything that I've commented about the show and where we're at, especially now that we're on the cusp of the big Revolution pay-per-view, I think I really covered everything. And last night was just like a culmination of everything that's been going on. And I really don't know what to add. But look, before we get into the qualitative analysis, how about we do the quantitative part of that? Talking about people in the building. Now, WrestleTix, as per usual, this is not the final count. I'm recording this on Thursday. And at the time of recording, we did not get the final count for last night's show from WrestleTix. But we did get an update yesterday that said that 2,777 tickets were distributed. And according to WrestleTix, there were about 3,098 seats available, according to the map, which, of course, you take away some because of production, so on and so forth. So, not a bad number, and it's probably going to go up a little bit. As I often point out, the AEW does a lot of last minute ticket buying. There's a lot of that goes on with AEW, and the main reason is because the tickets get really, really inexpensive towards the end because AEW is still in a spot where it's struggling to fill out its shows. So the strategy for an AEW show is to wait, particularly for the TV tapings, is to wait till the very last minute to go pick them up and buy your tickets for a very, very low price, and then hit the bricks and then go to the show. God damn it! So there's a lot of that happens, and so we'll see. We'll probably get very, very close to 3,000, maybe even go over. We'd have to, it's possible. It's not impossible. We're not quite, there's 223 tickets that they'd have to sell. Possible. Yeah, possible. I don't think it's completely out of the ordinary, But then again, like there was nothing big drawing on the show. There was not, there wasn't a marquee thing. So I don't know. They'll get close, I think, to 3,000. And yeah, again, we're still in the same environment, as far as ticket sales go. But as far as Revolution goes this weekend, I mean, it's kind of been a little bit of the talk of the town that this show is going to do very, very good. It's going to be one, as far as gate goes, like number of tickets put out there. It's probably going to be one of the company's biggest drawing shows. It's going to be the second largest drawing Revolution for that specific pay-per-view. The only one having done more was last year's in Greensboro with the Sting retirement show. So it's like we say oftentimes here on the show, the consumer metrics show that consumer confidence is still quite high when it comes to the pay-per-views, but still struggles with the weekly TV. That's still the story. Now, the thing is, like, even with the TV recently, it's been in a much better spot. It doesn't feel like the free fall it's been in, over the past year or so. I think things are stabilizing. I think the show is overall better, and it. I think it's going to eventually come across. It's eventually going to show more and more concretely in certain metrics that the show is captivating attention and doing better. Of course it's something I'm interested to keep an eye on, and I think we should all keep an eye on. I'm very keen on this idea that AEW is doing better, because I do think it's a better show. I think by running in smaller venues, it's helped the show tremendously as well. I think the show has been coming across as hotter because the crowds are smaller. They're much more into it because the buildings are packed. Everything feels more high energy. I think the directions that they're in are really good. And that's going to come across. That's absolutely something that's going to come across, and that will eventually help. Now, I can't repeat this enough. It's not going to be a quick fix. It's not going to be a short-term fix. In my opinion, AEW exhausted a lot of the goodwill that it had with fans through a very unfortunate series of events that you can track back, to Cody. Some people think that it started with the departure of Cody Rhodes. Some people will point to when the CM Punk brawl out stuff happened. Some people will even point to the Brochacho stuff last year. 2 years ago at this point. I think it's a happy-go-lucky hodgepodge stew of all of those things that just eroded at the fan base and at their desire to watch the show. And AEW has not been able to rekindle that confidence, and consumer confidence is very difficult to regain once the consumer feels that they've been scorned, so it's going to take a while to regain that. But I think the creative proposition of AEW is extremely interesting now. It's been consistently good combination of stories and angles and pro wrestling matches, which is what really matters. And I still maintain today, and we can have whatever discussions you want to have about great matches not drawing money, and how many bags of money you're going to give such and such a match. I still think the reason you watch professional wrestling is for the thing that's in the title. Professional wrestling. And I think I think the fan base that AEW had attracted was for that. I think the fan base that they ran off was exactly that. People who just saw that the company was going in a very different direction as to what they were doing or what they were into, and just stopped the watching altogether. You know, some people say, oh, they went back to watch WWE. I think these are people who just stopped watching. So to gain those people back, or to gain that kind of to create that kind of assurance back, there's a lot of bridges that have been broken, and it's going to take a little while to come back. That's just how it goes. But I much prefer seeing the company make efforts to try and rekindle what it used to be, or at the very least, go back to its sources and give things that the fans want to see. I think that's something that AEW has been very successful, very, very successful in doing. And I think there's no more good representation of that than the pay-per-view that they have coming up this very weekend, which is incredibly stacked. Lots of fan favorites on the show. But on top of that, everything on that show is so incredibly well built. And I've been talking about this for weeks, but the shows have been really, really interesting. They've been really well put together. There's everything on the show has a story, to the point that last week I was sort of half complaining that, it'd be fun to just have a random ass match once in a while, just a random cool match once in a while. Not everything has to have a story, but everything on the card is built, has a story. Everything that's featured on Dynamite every week has a story. Everything has been, and the builds have been tremendous. I think they've all been really well put together. I think they're coming to their natural conclusion at the right moment. It all makes sense. Like this, it feels like really well put together wrestling television for the purpose of you shelling out buckaroos to buy the pay-per-view. Like on Amazon Prime, which is their new distribution deal, because Max is still not ready to do, is still not equipped to do live streaming. So we're going to go with Amazon Prime, which, it's a big distributor. That's a big distributor. And what a lot of people, I think, don't necessarily realize is that I think that there's a lot of folks who use the rental services off of Amazon Prime to rent movies and whatnot. So they're already, there's already that base established of people who are used to buying things off of Amazon Prime Video, as opposed to Netflix or HBO Max, where you've never given the habit of paying extra for something hasn't been created yet. Now on Amazon you have that. Everyone who has Amazon Prime has access to it. So you may have never used Amazon Prime Video, but maybe this is an opportunity where you're going to go like, oh yeah, I'm going to give that a try. Or maybe you're just going to stick to Triller. You might just stick to Triller or ppv.com, or I think the YouTube. I don't remember if the YouTube distribution, if that's international only or not. I don't quite remember. Of course, in Canada we're international, so we can do that. We can use YouTube, or you can go to your Dave & Buster's if you really want to put up with that. I've never been to Dave & Buster's. I've seen videos and marketing of Dave & Buster's, and Like, it looks awful. Apologies, Ted. And I actually know people who work there. But it looks awful. It's hey, you know what? It's not for me. A Dave & Buster's it's not for me. I think that's the fairest thing I could say. That makes the most sense without me really becoming, nasty about it and then truly making people upset. Going, Warren, this is just a question of taste. I love going to Dave & Buster's. If you love going to Dave & Buster's, that's great. I encourage you to go to Dave & Buster's if you really want to go to Dave & Buster's. It's a free country. Still. For now. But yeah, I mean, back to the show. Back to this Dynamite. It was a really good show. It was a really strong... it was a really, really strong go-home show with just great TV wrestling. Like, what? I don't know what else to say. Here's what I can say. Put more tag team wrestling on Dynamite week in, week out. Because look at what happens. You get these cool little pair-ups. You get these potentials for furthering storylines. You get all sorts of nice little nuggets, and everyone gets a little bit of shine. And then you get more people on TV, and you're not exhausting your singles matches. You're creating stories within the tag team situations, within the matches, within the setup for it, right? And you get some great TV. You just have some really fun TV, some fun TV wrestling that's well done, well executed by a bunch of pros, high paced, high energy. And I remember a time when Dynamite used to do that a lot, with a lot of trios matches, a lot of 8-man, what did they call it? They did one a couple of weeks ago. What did they call it? The All-Star? 8-man tag, something like that. It was the All-Star, right? We'll do more All-Star matches. Do more of what we got here. You get yourself a tag team with Powerhouse Hobbs and Orange Cassidy and Mark Briscoe and Will Ospreay. That's sick. That's cool. And then they beat they beat the C team of the Don Callis family. And not even the Don Callis family. They send Bryan Keith in there to take the pin, which is fine. And it continues the story that Don Callis and the Jericho tree, the learning tree, still have this alliance, right? This scratch my back, I'll scratch yours type of situation. It's like, hey, send in your guy. I need a guy. I need a fourth body. Jericho, send in your guy. And look what this did. I mean, continue to establish more stories. Continued advancing the Mark Davis stuff on top of the Kyle Fletcher situation. So, it's like, I really don't know why this isn't done more. Like, everything was good. Everything was good as far as the tag team matches went. Like, I don't know. It was just a really good show. And clear direction, for everyone involved towards the pay-per-view. Again, focused on people you want to see. Focused on people that should be pushed. It's almost as if they're running a wrestling company. I mean, this was look. I'm gonna keep telling, instead of saying over and over again, this was strong, this was good, this was strong, this was good. Let's just get to breaking down the whole show. That started off with MJF. He's outside. He's cutting a promo on Hangman Page, saying, "Brother, it's like what I did to Christopher Daniels, it's the tip of the iceberg, right? Light work is what he said." And, he says, "Come on, I'm outside. I'm waiting. Let's settle this. You talk about buckshots. I got a bullet with your name on it." And good, unhinged MJF. Why don't we just do the whole MJF Hangman stuff here instead of bouncing around? Why don't we knock that out of the way? And then give full thoughts. Later on in the evening, Renee Paquette is with MJF outside and, basically saying basically saying that Hangman's a coward for not showing up. But then Hangman arrives with his truck that has the Longhorns on it. And I noticed that it was a Buick that he was driving, right? Wasn't it the Buick logo that was on the hood? It's a Buick. Now, is that an electric Buick? At least it's not a Tesla anymore, let's be honest. But he drives up, of course, MJF, takes a powder, hits the bricks, and Paige chases after him, runs into what seems to be MJF, a guy dressed up as MJF, but it looked like MJF. He runs into MJF and starts beating him up, drags him to the arena, but then the guy stumbles on the entrance and on the entrance way to the ring, and he stumbles, and then you realize, wait, that's not Max, and the guy says, he paid me to do this, and MJF then blindsides Paige and attacks him, and then follows the beatdown in the ring, where they both try to get some shots on each other, but eventually MJF kicks him in the no-nos, and then lands the Heat Seeker on Paige, and he reveals that he's wearing a t-shirt that reads MJF did nothing wrong. I fucking love it. And he continues to beat down Adam Page, beat up security, try to come in, puts on the Dynamite Diamond ring. Hangman fights back. MJF though gets the upper hand, knocks Page down, and then he gets some lighter fluid from under the ring. He's saying it's like, you like it when your precious cowboy burns things, you hypocrites? Well, let's see if you like this. And he proceeds to douse the Hangman in lighter fluid, has the lighter, but then security and officials run in to keep him from torching a man alive. Again, very, very close, AEW, once again to another crime being committed on television. And MJF then gets carried away like by 8 dudes, right? They're carrying him like low key got carried out, right? You know the meme I'm talking about. And he's screaming at the top of his lungs, right? Saying, hypocrites, let me prove my point. And he's just completely unhinged. And that sort of brings the segment to a close. And for the whole MJF Adam Page stuff. This was tremendous. And I said this from the minute that we started hinting at Page and MJF going at it, right? When we were doing the fucking nonsense with Jeff Jarrett. I said it's like, this is going to feel good. This is going to be a good program for AEW because we're coming back to 2 OGs, 2 guys from the company that people identify with the company, and that a lot of people say, and I throw my hat into that arena as well. 2 guys who are the main characters of the company, and they're going to go at it. Guys who have history with themselves, with each other, of course, with themselves, but with each other in the company. Like this build has been excellent. And they're in roles, on top of it all, they're in roles that the audience want to see them in. They want to cheer for the Hangman. They want to boo MJF. That's what they want to do. That's what the crowd wants to do. On Sunday, Hangman is coming out. He's coming out from the babyface tunnel, and he's got his old music back. He's not. That's what's happening, and the crowd is going to go nuts. He's going to shave. He's going to have his mustache shaved. No more Stan Hansen duster. We're done with that. That's what's happening next. I can feel it in my bones. That's what's happening, and we're going to have an excellent pro wrestling match. Why? Because the Hangman can't have a bad match, and MJF is terrific in the ring as well. And it is a match that has the potential to be one of the best of the night, if not the best of the night. Look, if you didn't have Kenny Omega versus Konosuke Takeshita, or Will Ospreay versus Kyle Fletcher, I would flat out be saying this is going to be match of the night. But there's some competition for match of the night. And I'm hoping that this kind of competition sort of lights a flame under the dudes back, under some of those guys backstage, under their asses, to go out there and have like tremendous matches. There's let me give you an example. That great era of G1s in New Japan, right? From the earlier 2000s right up to the 2020s, right? Considered to be like the golden era, and just tremendous G1s. The guys would go out there to have these great matches, not because they were like, oh yeah, let's go out and have a great match. It'll be nice for the audience. No, because they were all competing for spots, and they were all trying to get one on top of the other guy. So two guys would come back from a match. The other two guys going on were like, just saw what happened, and they're like, yeah, we can do better than this, right? Let's go turn it up. And that's why there would be this healthy competition backstage of guys just wanting to go out there and give it their all, because they were all jockeying for spots. They were all jockeying to get the best possible spot for them on the roster. So imagine if in AEW there was that same type of mentality where you look back and you're like, okay, Kenny's back and he's fighting Takeshita, and they're probably gonna tear the house down, so we got to give it our all too. Like that's the vibe, right? That's the vibe. And I don't give a shit about what Bubba Ray Dudley thinks about whether or not great matches draw or not. And that's an entirely different conversation. I know what I like, and I know what draws me to pro wrestling. And it's the promise of exciting professional wrestling matches that are going to blow my mind. That's why I watch pro wrestling. Everything else is lovely and gravy and helps me get more invested. But you can have all the angles you want. And there's a certain company who proves that to me every time I watch. You can have all the angles you want. But if the matches don't deliver, I end up not caring. I do not end up caring. This was fantastic. Paige and MJF are going to have an incredible match. It's one of the matches I'm most looking forward to this weekend. And what a great way to end, what a great way to finish the build. Just tremendous stuff. We had the contract signing with Swerve and Ricochet. My absolute fucking disdain for contract signings precedes me. I think it's my number one trait. Every time there's a contract signing happening, people DM me still, even on shows I don't watch. Look, I still think it's derivative and lazy. I have never liked it. I'd be remiss to say that this didn't work though, and that it made sense. It made sense that there would be a contract signing for this match, because Ricochet has been trying to weasel out of wrestling Swerve for a while. And the only reason why he conceded was the addition of a stipulation to become the number one contender for the world title. That was the only thing that finally convinced Ricochet to concede and go, yeah, okay, I'll wrestle you again. So I can understand where they're like, okay, well, we got to sit down and formalize this, especially so that you don't weasel out of this, Ricochet. So am I trying to justify the existence of a contract signing? Yeah. Yes. God help me. That's what I'm doing right now. However, I still think they're bad. And if I never see a contract signing again, that's absolutely okay. But in this case, it makes some sense. This was not necessarily Swerve's best promo work ever. Swerve stumbling over his words is a little weird. I ultimately the outcome was good. Where after they changed, they trade barbs. They established the fact that Swerve is once again one step ahead of Ricochet, because Ricochet tries to sneak up and stab Swerve with his scissors, but Swerve blocks him and reveals he has scissors of his own, and then he proceeds to blonk Ricochet right in the noggin, and Ricochet does the old blade job. And I'm trying to think of the last time Ricochet did a blade job, and has he ever? Because he didn't do it in the Fed, that's for sure. I don't think he's ever. I think we got a first, if you ask me. I think that was a first. Then we got the first of the tag team matches, the 8-man tag, Powerhouse Hobbs, Briscoe, Cassidy, Ospreay versus Cage, Archer, Mark Davis, and Bryan. Keith, look, I've talked about, I could crack open the notebook here and go into detail, but there's really no reason. Like, these are super solid 3.5, 3 3/4 matches. These tag matches on this Dynamite, there really isn't like tons of super details to break down, but they were really good. Like, they were really, really solid pro wrestling matches. I mean, the finish of this was really, really fun, where you have Mark Briscoe doing the chickens flying spot to the floor, and a hidden blade by Will Ospreay on Bryan. Keith got the win. The story here is what happened after, when the Don Callis family go after Ospreay, and they take out, of course, the rest of the guys. They have the Murder Machines taking out Powerhouse Hobbs on the stairs, who look great. We have to underscore that Powerhouse Hobbs look great here. We got to continue with this push. I think his stock has been rising with fans. Finally, I think we found the role for Powerhouse Hobbs. We got to keep going down that route. We really do. So eventually, as they're beating down Ospreay, Kyle Fletcher comes in. Fletcher does a brain buster through a steel chair. And in the meantime, he's bullying Mark Davis to inflict injury upon Will Ospreay, and Davis is very conflicted. That's kind of been the story, that he's, despite the fact that it still doesn't quite gel with me, because he sort of joined the Don Callis family out of nowhere, but now we're sort of establishing the fact that he's not comfortable with the role he's in, but yet he's still swinging chairs at Ospreay and doing what Fletcher asks him to do. So it's like, it's weird. Like, it's a bit of an odd dynamic. But yeah, they cream Ospreay before the match. He's clutching his shoulder after the beatdown, so that will probably come into play for their match at Revolution. We get a video package for Kenny Omega and Konosuke Takeshita, which was excellent. Let's be real. It was really, 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 really good. And then that leads us to Cope defeating Wheeler Yuta. Good little match. I don't have many notes. I said that's a good little match. We got we got some nice little back and forth, quick reversals, technical exchanges, cattle mutilation by Yuta, and Copeland wins with the spear. Then after the match, Copeland grabs Wheeler Yuta's hand and shakes it, and he says, "This is what respect feels like." And then he walks away. And Wheeler is there conflicted. He's like, "Oh." He's sort of like, "I see what you did there." And he's having feelings. He's having emotions. Then Jon Moxley arrives through the audience, and he confronts Wheeler, because he had told Wheeler, "You have to take Copeland out for me on Collision." He had told him that. And he says, "You have to take him out for me. You're the last hope, because there's no one left." But instead, he, sort of loses his cool, berates Yuta pie faces him, and Yuta's like, okay, no, fuck it. And he pie faces Mox and he storms backstage. Mox follows, continues to berate him as he walks away. And then Mox is like, there you go, Cope, you did it. Basically admitted that Cope is in his head. And you got rid of everyone. You got rid of everyone that in my team. So I'm all alone. You got me alone. I've been very low on the Death Riders angle. I didn't think it was very exciting. I didn't think it was particularly compelling with the way things were going down with Cope either. But the little twist that they added here, where Cope is taking everyone out, that's really interesting. And it made this match a lot more interesting than where I was with it just a couple of weeks ago, where I was dreading this match. Now I'm kind of looking forward to it. Now I'm like, okay, there's something here, because now it feels like we have the possibility of a title loss. I'm not saying that it is going to happen. I say we feel like there's the possibility of. Now there's like factors. There are factors here that can contribute to any type of reasoning that you could say, well, Cope is going to lose. Mox is going to lose. Excuse me. And again, is it the right decision? Is that what's going to happen? We could break that down. But the idea, all I'm saying is that there's enough reasonable doubt that it's been established that it just might happen, and that's cool. That makes title matches better when the outcomes aren't evident. When there's just a little seed of doubt, sometimes that's all you need. You just need a little bit of a seed. You know what I'm thinking? I'm thinking Wheeler Yuta is going to be done with the Death Riders, and Jack Perry is going to take his place, and Jack Perry is going to show up and save Mox from losing his title, while the other guys are all injured and dead, and while Yuta is off, in a corner, pouting. I think that's what's going to happen. You just wait and see. Good stuff. This was really, really good. This direction that they took, again, the Death Riders angle was terrific. No notes. This has been very good and a great way to lead us into the pay-per-view with some really good drama, and the stakes are higher, and etc. etc. We get a cute little music video, a training montage by the Outrunners, which I appreciated. I enjoyed the little music. I'm still firmly in the camp of do not push the Outrunners. I'm still very much in that camp. Have them wrestle, have them do their things, but do not push them. This, I think, it's enough. Whatever's going on here with the Hurt Syndicate, it's enough. Like I like how it's not really being treated seriously because they're goofballs, and the Hurt Syndicate is and treats them accordingly. That is good. That makes sense, because no way the Hurt Syndicate should be treating these two goofballs like legit competition. They're brushing them off, and they'll probably have a nice little match, and that'll be the end of that feud, and then we'll move on to something else. Then followed the whole MJF Hangman deal, so we already talked about that. We had Ash Avildsen, who is the writer and director of Queen of the Ring, who is backstage with Lexi Nair. And he's talking about the film that's opening this weekend. And Tony Storm, who is also a part of the film, shows up, and they do Hollywood stuff. Tony Storm calls him Mr. DeMille in reference to Cecil B. DeMille, one of the founding fathers of the motion picture industry in the United States. Prolific actor, director. And you probably know who Cecil B. DeMille is. You don't need me. And if you don't know who it is, he's got a wonderful Wikipedia page. Anyway, so they do things for that. Then that leads us to Megan Bayne. Megan Bayne and Penelope Ford defeating Kris Statlander and Thunder Rosa in a nice little tag team match as well. I enjoyed this. Probably my I was going to say, no, it's not even my least favorite. I don't have a match where I can straight out point to and say, this was a terrible match. Or bad. It's probably maybe my least favorite. Yeah, maybe it was my least favorite. It was my least favorite match of the show. But not by much, and definitely not like, in the sense where it's like, oh, wow, the botches in this one, and low energy. And no, it's just, you get a bunch of really good matches everywhere, and this is still a good match. Just didn't reach the highs that the others did, but it's still a good match. Big power moves by Statlander and Bayne, which I think is a lot of fun to watch. And there was some good tag team chemistry with Statlander and Thunder Rosa, which I enjoyed. Good little match. I don't have much to add here. Megan Bayne and Penelope Ford win with a pinfall. Using Megan Bayne's F5, which she calls the Fate's Descent. Just call it the F5. I mean, it's everyone knows it's Brock's move. It's fine. Fate's Descent. All right. Mercedes Moné is interviewed backstage, saying that, setting up the idea that Serena Deeb is going to be wrestling Momo Watanabe on Collision this week to soften Momo up for Mercedes. So very heel thing to do. Then we have the Max Caster open challenge that happens. He does his thing, tries to get an absurd chant over, which will probably eventually get over. That's the thing. And turns out that his open challenge is Jay White, who hits the ring, and a Blade Runner, and we're done. After the match, Jay gets on the microphone, and he says that Adam Copeland and himself have had each other's backs for months now. And now that Jon Moxley's all alone, but he promises he's going to be at Revolution to see the crowning of a new AEW World Champion, Adam Copeland. So, it's Jay White. Babyface Jay White doesn't sit well with me, doesn't sit well with you. I think we kind of see where this is going. We're not done with Jay White in this picture here. And he's probably going to do something dastardly. Then we have a great sit-down interview with Mariah May and Toni Storm. Very tense, very well done. Not as heavy on the goofiness. This feels like two women who really don't like each other. And this Falls Count Anywhere match that they're going to be having, the Hollywood ending match. Look, they've been promising a lot. They've been over-promising at how violent this is going to be. Now, maybe it's because recently I've been watching matches that promised a lot of violence and that really under-delivered, but my expectations are really high for how brutal this match is going to be. And this really feels like the blow-off to their feud. It really does. And I think they're giving it the gravitas that it should have, because it has been a long-term feud and a long-term vision by Tony Khan as well. So it's okay. I think it's fine that they lean into it that much. Even down to the point that, but I want to make sure, they're making such a point that they really want to maim and destroy the other. That, I'm wondering if they'll be able to live up to the expectation, because my expectations are very high now. My expectations are very, very high. But you know what I really liked? I liked this idea. I like the idea of Toni Storm saying, I don't want you to die. I want you to live in mediocrity, right? You're just a someone. You're not a nobody, but you're not someone. You're just you're not a nobody. You're not a big name. You're just a someone. You're just someone who will be replaced, right? Your star will fade out and you'll be forgotten, and people will be wondering whatever happened to Mariah May. And this is the kind of promo. This is the kind of promo that if things go sour for Mariah May's career, and this is not something that I'm wishing upon her, but this is one that we're going to look back on. This is one that we're all going to dig up and we're going to holy shit, how prophetic was this, Because I am curious to see what you can do with Mariah May away from the Toni Storm angle. She's going to have to do something else. What is she going to do? We'll see. Of course. And then we got the, is that where we got? Yeah, that's the main event. Kazuchika Okada and Ricochet defeated Brody King and Swerve Strickland. That was a lot of fun, wasn't it? That was a ton of fun. That segment that Swerve and Brody were having on the outside, just trading moves and doing awesome big time moves on the other guys. That was a lot of fun. Crowd was into it too. Good exchanges between Ricochet and Swerve. I think they're going to have a good match. I'm excited. I'm excited to see what Okada we're going to get at the pay-per-view, because we know Okada can go. We know he can still go at the very highest level. We saw it. We saw it just a couple of months ago. So, it's not as if we're still wondering, does Okada have it? Is he washed? No, he doesn't. It'll be a question of effort. Will he want to pull that out against Brody? Well, Brody King, that's the question. And I think he should. Brody's tremendous. Brody should get pushed, quite honestly. Between us. Brody needs to be, at the very least, should be winning some matches. Should be winning some big matches. But yeah, that's it for Dynamite. I mean, it's a terrific Dynamite that I really enjoyed, and I hope you thought this review was terrific and you really enjoyed it. Thank you very much for watching till the very end, and so leave a like and a subscription and all that stuff. 5-star reviews, 5-star ratings, all that stuff. I will be back next Wednesday for the Mr. Warren Hayes show. Of course, we are going to be reviewing at that moment AEW Revolution, but the review normally will be available for members of the Mr. Warren Hayes show channel over on YouTube. It'll be available to them first. So if you want to get in on that, head on over to YouTube, youtube.com/Mr. Warren Hayes, and become a member. Hit the join button, become a member, and you'll have early access to that before everyone else does. Speaking of the YouTube channel, if you want to join us, if you're listening to this on Thursday and you want to join us for the live stream tonight, because I stream, I don't know what sleeming is, but I stream live on Thursday evenings. We're going to be reviewing AEW Revolution. We're going to be doing that live on stream. Previewing. Did I say reviewing? Previewing. I'm so confused. We're going to be previewing Revolution tonight on stream. So come join us. That's a lot of fun. But yeah, otherwise the review's coming next week. And of course, next Thursday, back again with another AEW Dynamite review. So in the meantime, thank you all so very much for joining me. Go watch some Randy Orton and get back to me. I'll see you next time.